Hi, everybody. It's been a long time. This has been a really long time coming. I know I had promised to do a video and kind of bring everybody up to date a little bit on what's been going on in my life. I've been fortunate enough to have some really caring people reach out to me and want to know what's happening in my life. So here goes. I mean, it's been, God, it's been a while. And this past year there have been so many things that happened. Not this past December, but the December before that, I was in an automobile accident that created some difficulty for me. I was helping my friend Ken to try to set up a new television he had gotten, and after working on it for probably about an hour and a half, it just wasn't working. Could not get it connected to his FiOS. It just was not happening. I would get to a certain point and then it just was not happening. So we finally gave up and decided to go out and get a bite to eat. Had a lovely dinner. And there was so much food that we were taking a lot of it back. And I was really looking forward to at least one more meal, possibly two. But just after leaving the diner, we drove no more than a couple of blocks and we were headed west. And this guy, I don't know where he came from, slammed into the back of the car, sending us into a spin, and we wound up on the grass, narrowly missing poles. So we were very lucky in that regard. We wound up going to the hospital. They had actually wanted me to stay, but I had the dogs at home and I just didn't want to. When they had done their tests, they did a CT scan and they discovered that I had a fracture of the T1. And they gave me two different neck braces to wear. I had one of them that I was wearing all the time, and the other one, even when I took a shower, they did not want me not to. To make a long story short, it affected me for a long time. And, you know, I still had all of the things that I was dealing with from my surgery back in 2018. Knock wood, I mean, I was doing really well, doing far better than the doctors had ever anticipated. So I was happy about that. And I was moving on with my life, doing whatever I could. That became an odyssey, and I wound up seeing doctors and trying to I went for physical therapy again, which I love, and I've told you before, I think it's the greatest thing, and it was enormously helpful. So I had that to deal with, and on top of that, I have been lucky enough, after my surgery in 2018 in July, of doing well. In the beginning, I used to go for my scans every 3 months, and then I started to go every 6 months. And it was funny because when I went for my last scan in July or August of this year, I guess I was getting complacent about it, to be honest with you. They did things a little bit differently for some reason that I cannot fathom at all. Because when they did the test this time, they told me they had to do it with markers, and I didn't know what they were talking about because it had never been done before. And why? I didn't have any symptoms. I didn't have any pain. I mean, I have pain every day in my life, but I had my normal pain and nothing else. So anyway, I had the test, and when I went into the doctor's office and waited for her to come in, I spoke to her nurse, and she said to me, you know, Jerry, I think I'm going to recommend to the doctor that we make it a year from now, because it'll be 5 years at that point. So she said she was going to talk to Dr. Crago and she was going to let me know And then Dr. Crago came in. And then the floor fell out. They had seen something, and I was in a state of shock. It was something I really needed to deal with. I had fallen weeks before the test was done. I was going into a place to pick up food, and it was on the ground in front of the store was slightly angled up toward the store, and I went to grab there was one step outside the door, and I started to step up, and when I did, I pulled on the door, and it's one of those doors that's really heavy, and it didn't open, so I released my grip to grab it again, but because I was pulling it so hard, and because the sidewalk wasn't straight, I went slipping backward. I was sure I was going to fall on my head. I just kept going backward, and it probably looked like a funny movie if you were observing it. But fortunately for me, I had parked my car directly opposite the door of the place. So when I fell, and I did in fact fall, I fell into the side of my car and not onto my head on the pavement. So I was grateful for that, but I was in a lot of pain. So I had assumed when I went for the thing that perhaps what they were seeing was something that was related to my fall. So I didn't really take it all that seriously, though it was enormously disturbing. I finally went, I think it was a week later, I went and had an MRI. And the MRI confirmed it. There was something there. So I had to deal with all of the emotion of, oh my God, I thought this was a one-time nightmare in my life, to I have another battle on my hands. So if you fast forward, that was in the summer, and it took me a little while to come to grips with it, and thankfully, it was small. So that was the positive of it, and she wanted to do surgery right away. As a matter of fact, she had me come in and she told me she wanted to do surgery the following week, and I said, no way, because I needed to make plans. I needed things to do. I needed to get some work in. I needed to do something so that I could get through the period of time of the surgery. And ultimately, she wound up talking to, I'm assuming there was a meeting of the tumor board again, because that's what happened last time. And the determination was made that I should speak to a radiation oncologist, and that I should possibly have had radiation before. So they don't like to do radiation a second time, and they certainly don't want to do it in the same area. And I still have some issues. As they told me, the skin where you were radiated may look normal at some point, but it will never be normal. So I had that to deal with, and they suggested that I do proton radiation therapy. Fortunately for me, my brother is a nuclear physicist, and he is very familiar with proton therapy. As a matter of fact, much of his career was working at the cyclotron in Indiana. So he knew exactly what it was capable of doing and how much safer it was in doing far less damage to any other tissues. And he said to me, if you have to have it, proton radiation is the way to go. So I gave it some thought. They were talking about some possible side effects that frightened me, and I was not sure whether to take a chance, but I finally, after having my brother talk to the doctor there, he felt much better about it, and he told me that, I said to him, what would you do if it were you? Would you do it? And ultimately he said he believed that he would. So I decided to do that, and it was another course of a 5-week treatment plan, and they had to work up a treatment plan before they had me come in. And there is only one of these centers in all of New York that I'm aware of. I believe there are only about 17 in the entire country. There are not a lot of them. They are very, very expensive facilities, and they treat a lot of patients. They need to treat a lot of patients. The fact that it was in the city, and I said, oh my God, how am I going to get there, and how am I going to make this happen? I am very, very fortunate. I have a very good friend, my friend Ken. I had spoken about him in the past, and he has been simply wonderful to me, helping with so many things that I've needed, and I'm grateful for the friendship that I have with him. So anyway, he told me not to worry about it. He said he would take me for my treatments, and true to his word, he has done that every single day. So I am now actually, next week is my final treatment. Next Wednesday, I will have had 25. And it's a beautiful place. If you have to go to a place for this type of treatment service, I couldn't think of a better place to go. I'm going to do a whole dedicated video on that because I think it's important for people who are faced with the prospect of having proton therapy. I want to let them know my experience of it and just how incredibly wonderful it has been. So on that note, I'm really going to stop because this is getting a little bit long, and I wanted it to be a catch-up video, and I'm hoping it's going to be the first of many. So I want to tell you more about everything that's going on in my life, such as it is, and we'll take it from there. But I am hanging in there. I am doing the very best that I can. I've learned some great life lessons, and I feel so incredibly grateful for so many things. So I still think that life is a gift. I think that everything that we go through is for a reason. There are lessons in it for us, and I'm perfectly fine with all of it. So that's today, and thanks so much to the wonderful women who have urged me to come back and talk to you. Here I am. As I say, I really hope to see you often from now on, and I love you all. As I've told you before, thanks for hanging in with me. I'll see you soon.